Bring back Ambassador John Bolton, now the former U.S. ambassador to the UN, because we were talking about the impact of President Obama canceling a scheduled meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin, because Time magazine took an interesting look at something we haven't had that much of an opportunity to know about, and that is the reaction of the Russian people. How does it affect them if President Obama doesn't show up?
Well, I think many people who would like to see a more democratic system in Russia hope that Obama pressures Putin in that direction. So from their perspective, they think the cancellation's a bad thing. I don't think there's much evidence one way or the other that Obama has pressured Putin on that issue. And I think fundamentally the cancellation of the bilateral meeting is cosmetic. Compared to the harm that we're suffering as Russia gets that information from Snowden, the cancellation of a meeting really doesn't weigh on the scales of comparability.
It's a shame that we didn't have something that could zap the information on his computer, like we know if we lost our computer, we could. You feel that they're still gaining new information at this point and having their hands on him.
Yeah, I think if the Russians already had everything they wanted from Snowden, they'd be happy to get him out of the country. He's a potential problem. He's a magnet for international media coverage. They want the information, no doubt about it, but they would consider him a problem. I think there's still more pressure to be applied against the chance the Russians don't have everything. We should have applied more pressure when he was in China, to China. We should be applying more pressure now. So I would go much farther than just canceling a meeting. I would go back to rebuilding our national missile defense capabilities. I would make the Russians feel some pain. I think that's important.
Let's talk about the options. I asked you during the break whether or not it would make sense to boycott the Olympics, which I don't say that without understanding what it would mean to our athletes and to those Americans that travel for it, but that's been raised.
Yeah.
You say you would recommend going even further.
I would go further. I think the Olympics hurts us, canceling the Olympics hurts us as much as it hurts Putin. So I would go after things that affect the real strategic balance, things I think are in America's national interest anyway, like resuming the National Missile Defense Program, like getting out of the badly flawed New START arms control treaty, like not putting up with Russia using its oil and natural gas assets to threaten Eastern and Central Europe. This relationship is fundamentally moving in a bad direction despite 4.5 years of concessions from Obama, and Putin is still playing him correctly to get more concessions.
All right, Ambassador Bolton, great insight always. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here.
Safe trip back home.